Smell it out there? Oh, the air is heavy with the scent of fear. Fear on the part of Kamala Harris, fear on the part of her campaign, fear on the part of the Democrat Party. And believe me, that scent is getting more and more pervasive with every passing day. And with that little teaser, I have the following to say. Hi, hello, how are you out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett, and this is Chattin on the Porch, a fun little live stream that we do here Monday through Thursday nights, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, and whatever it is for the further out west you go. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. This fun little live stream can be found on Rumble, on Twitter, and on that quaint little social media alternative platform known as YouTube. So please tell your friends, tell your mothers, your brothers, your lovers, your sisters, your misters. Send them the link. Tell them to get in here. Let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the news. Give a thumbs up. Give a comment in chat. Give a sub. Give a sub on Rumble. Give a sub on YouTube. Give a sub everywhere you can, because a brother needs some help. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am known in social media as the Front Porch Conservative. Sometimes I'm known as the beau in the chapeau. On occasion, I'm called the common man with common sense. But above all else, I am one thing. In this moment, right now, I am your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube. So please share the link around. Tell your friends to get in here. Come join us. We got quite a few things in the news to talk about tonight. And a little bit of everything for everybody. And we've got memes. We got stuff to make you laugh. We got stuff to make you cry. We got everything in between. And we're going to have fun. And you're going to be a part of one of the best audiences on the whole of the internet. Doesn't get much better than Fedora Nation, baby. The smartest audience on the internet here in one place. Glad to have you guys here with us tonight. Going to settle in. Going to be a good time for everybody. Oh my goodness. Let's see who all's in the house so far. TBA over on Rumble says, greetings, Fedora Nation. Lots of buffering. I don't know what's going on with that, my friend. I don't know what's going on with that. The internet on my end seems to be working pretty well. I'm not buffering here, so maybe it's weather related. We've been having some rain in my area, so there you go. WWG1 says, greetings. Greetings to you, sir. And let's see who's on the YouTube side of things. Buenas noches. Tacos and nachos for all. Amen. Kamala Balama Lama. Yeah, what he said. Let's see who else is here. Good evening, my dear. Who else in the house? Tiny Tesla is here. All right. Small Times in the house. Ooh, this crowd's getting in here in a hurry. Look, even though it's the internet, for some reason there is this perception. Good evening, Ruben. This perception that if you don't get here early, you won't get a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you, the electronic front porch is big enough for everybody. So, come on. We're glad to have you. And going to have a lot of fun tonight. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So much to get into. Oh, mercy. Oh, we've got quite a few fun little memes, quite a few fun little stories. Lots of stuff to talk about. Some good, some bad. All of it, actually, all of it's quite actually interesting. So we'll get into everything here momentarily. Oh, gosh. All right. Let us start off. WWG1 says, I am in the nosebleed seats. Now, look, I don't know why you're in the nosebleed seats, but I'm just telling you, there's plenty of room for everybody. If you want to come on down front, you don't have to be like Bob Uecker where they put you on the front row. And if you know the reference to that commercial, you're good. TBA says, finally, the buffering has caught up. Well, now see, I didn't think it was on my end. At least I hope not anyway. We'll see what happens. All right. We have some interesting things in the Merry Memes section of the show tonight, and we will start off with some P. Diddy updates. A lot has been made of Sean Combs's current situation. And the comparisons between he and Jeffrey Epstein have been wide and varied. I mean, for example, they seem to have found themselves in similar situations. They're accused of similar alleged crimes. They are accused of similar situations. You know, Epstein had tapes on people, blackmail material. Supposedly, according to Diddy's bodyguards, he got the same thing. It's crazy, the comparison. And now you come to find out that P. Diddy is on suicide watch in the same jail cell, the same jail that Jeffrey Epstein was in before he took his life. Sorry, took his life. And I mean, the comparisons go on and on and on. And I don't know. I mean, folks, but I mean, even people are starting to say maybe there's a possibility that they're starting to look alike. I mean, where does reality stop and fantasy start? I don't know, but I mean, this is the most recently updated photo of Sean Combs. I don't know, guys. You tell me. I don't know. I mean, is this Jeffrey Didstein or Puffy Epstein? Or I mean, Diddler Puff? I mean, what do I don't know. Look. I mean, I know that sometimes, for strange reasons, some alleged criminals take on similarities with people who have been accused or found guilty of crimes similar. But I don't know, guys. This is kind of taking on kind of a life of its own here. I don't know quite what to make of all this. So you just to borrow that famous phrase, we report, you decide. So I mean, you tell me. I don't know. I don't know what quite to think of all that. But we also have some further updated news related to Sean Combs' situation. P. Diddy, or Puff Daddy, as he is known, depending on which era or nickname you wish to use. Apparently, not all is doom and gloom for P. Diddy. Even the fact that he is in jail, apparently as a major mogul businessman, a major player out there, he is able to start lining up business deals for himself. I mean, apparently he's got lawyers that are going in and out of the jail, not just related to his case, by the way, but I mean, he's still apparently able to conduct business in the jail. And apparently he's now lined himself up with a very big endorsement deal when this thing is all over with. And they've actually got some still photos ready to, I guess, for marketing purposes. But I don't know, guys. I don't really know if this branding is going to be really work out well for Johnson and Johnson. I mean, look, my response to all this is, if you're Johnson and Johnson, you can do business with whomever you want. If you're P. Diddy, you're trying to do business with anybody you can. So maybe between the two of them, they found some way to make this thing work. But I don't know, guys. If I'm Johnson and Johnson, I'm not so sure I want to get in bed with this guy. Okay, wait a minute. That was all right. Hold it. Scratch that. I did not say Johnson Johnson getting in bed with P. Diddy. I disavow that comment. I totally disavow. My apologies to Johnson Johnson. That was a very crude and loosely worded way, something to say. I would never, ever, ever accuse Johnson Johnson of getting in bed with Sean P. Diddy Combs. Yeah, well, I probably am on a slippery slope with that one. And given that the baby oil's involved, it's a very slippery slope. Just saying. So there you go. Apparently, these are the still photos that are ready for marketing purposes. I don't know, man. TBA over on Rumble says, Puff Daddy going to be lucky if he doesn't get the gallows at the end of this. And you don't want to get in bed with any Johnson or any Diddler. Well, true dat, my friend. True dat indeed. Wait, the bottle looks abused. Really? You think so? He is kind of squeezing that thing hard. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, dear, you might be onto something. Now, it's funny you bring this up. There's a lot of people that are, in all seriousness, there are a lot of people that are going back now and listening to a lot of Justin Bieber's lyrics. And they're kind of coming to that same conclusion, man. People were trying to put out messages, and maybe everybody just wasn't picking up on it the way they should have. I don't know. Well, he did have Johnson. Oh, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to here, Ruben. I would almost ask you to clarify, but then again, given where I think your brain is going, I'm not really so sure I want you to do that. This audience, I tell you, here I am. I'm trying to work hard, running a serious commentary on the news, and what am I? You got me going right to the gutter. What can I tell you? You're all awful. My next stand-up show, I don't know, but wherever I'm going to be, they're going to serve veal. I know that much. I'm just kidding, guys. I love you. Let's see. WWG1 says, I hope he has a lot of cash in his prison wallet just in case he drops the soap in the shower. Ew, naughty, ew. Ugh. Ugh, my gosh. Holy cow. Oh my God. Yeah, it's just, oh geez, now it's gone right. It really has gone right to the gutter. I love you guys. I love you guys. Oh goodness. All right, what else have we got going on out here? Let me see here. Now this one's a little. Well, wait. I'll save that one. Hang on. I'll save that because that. Now we don't necessarily. I've got one more meme, but I've also got some real quick videos, and these are actually kind of fun. And let me line these up the way I want to here. Okay. Folks, I don't know if you realize this or not, but today is the birthday of one of the most influential comedians of our time. And unfortunately, he is not here with us through a very horrible set of circumstances, and that was the legendary Phil Hartman. Today would have been his 76th birthday. Well, somebody posted on Twitter one of his best sketches that he ever did. And Hartman was known for a number of different things, but he was probably one of the best voice actors and impressionists of his era. And in honor of the legendary Phil Hartman, I've got one of his best right here. We're not going to play the whole 5-minute thing, but we're going to play a little bit of it to remind you just how good this guy was. But right there, absolutely one of the comic geniuses of our time. Absolutely one of the comic geniuses of our time. Oh, and you had good taste, dear. You really did. Oh, one of the best eras of SNL. I mean, you had Phil Hartman, Dennis Miller, Dana Carvey, Kevin Nealon, Victoria Jackson. Oh gosh, I mean that era, right? John Lovitz, that era right there in the 80s, early 90s, and then you throw in young talent like the Chris Farley, which you saw there in the skit, Chris Rock, who was behind the counter. I mean, just an extraordinary era of absolutely amazing comedians. But that to me, that mid to late 80s period of the ones I first mentioned, oh, chef's kiss. These guys were good. Oh God, these guys were good. Yeah, Norm Macdonald, another great one. Absolutely. Oh gosh. Hope Trump doesn't get convicted of conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy against rights, forgery in the first degree, or any other felonies he has been charged with. Well, I hope he doesn't get convicted either. God willing, he won't. And good evening to you, Ashley Sanders. not sure. I'm not. Welcome to the Electronic Front Porch. Glad to have you here. So yeah, it's just a absolutely great, the great Phil Hartman. Now, the next thing I've got for you is a little bit something on the cute side. Speaking of Trump, by the way, I'm not sure what this comes from, but I found this out on Twitter and it runs just about 8 seconds. I really thought it's kind of cute. So with that, enjoy. So there you go. Stealing hearts and popcorn ever since the early 1980s, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now, I've got one here that was sent in by Gypsy. And this one, oh, Lord. Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, who I affectionately refer to as the Wicked Witch of the Midwest. I'm sorry. And she may not be trying to be, but that woman just looks like ladies, I apologize to y'all out there, but there's just no other way of saying this. She's got a look on her face like a first-class bitch. I mean, she's got permanent resting bitch face. There just ain't no other way to say it. Well, she recently cut a video on behalf of the Harris Walls campaign, and folks, you know, there's just some people in life that if they offer to help you, you really ought to just tell them, thanks, but no thanks. This may be one of those moments. And with that, we have the following public service announcement from Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Democrat of Michigan.
I'm here with volunteers and they're cooking with gas. This slaps hell up. My house party just slayed. I'm calling voters today, rizzing them up. Trump wants to ship union jobs overseas, not chill. This is gas. Trump wants to cut taxes for billionaires. I'm leaving the chat. No cap. I'm Swifty AF. It's giving the next president. I'm here.
Like I said, folks, when some people offer to help you, find a polite way to tell them no. That's a good example of why. Yeah, Zippy. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with her. I don't know about the darkness in her soul, but you can see the darkness all over her face. Ugh, I know. And if you just had dinner, I apologize, you know. TBA says, why does Whitmer gain 25 pounds and then lose it with each scene? I don't know. Exactly. Age appropriate. You know, yeah, I can't disagree with you. I mean, here's the thing that cracks me up. Okay. Let's assume that Kamala Harris does not win in 2024. It is widely rumored and pretty well known she's got presidential ambitions. And laying aside, I'm going to be perfectly honest. There are only a handful of Democrats out there in the current crop. And by that current crop, I mean the generation coming up that I think are formidable. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think she could be very formidable in a campaign. But I think she's got the same problem Hillary Clinton has and Kamala Harris has to some same degree. She's just going to come across badly. I mean, and like I say, I could be dead wrong on that perception of her. And I mean, Gypsy, you live up in that neck of the woods. You know her better than anybody else. But just from the outside looking in, that woman acts like a first-class bitch. I mean, I'm just saying. You know, just, you know. But anyway, Gypsy sent that one in. I thought, yeah, you need to play it. All right, one last one. We'll finish up the Merry Meme section of the show. And this one will kind of lead to a discussion about Kamala Harris and her current campaign and how things are going, which a little bit rough, apparently. But with that, I'll just call this one priorities, and, I'm just going to leave this one right here. Mom, the rations don't fill me up. I'm hungry. I know, honey, but I wanted a female president. And, sometimes you got to ask yourself, are the priorities really worth it? I mean, I'm just saying. Just saying. Yeah, I found that one. I thought, yeah. So there you go. There you go. All right. We're going to shift gears a little bit. And I said at the very beginning of this live stream that you could smell the fear coming off of Kamala Harris and her campaign. Well, and people are going to say, well, of course you would say that. You're a Trump guy. No. Kamala is starting to get desperate, or maybe that's how it feels. And frankly, I don't think it's an issue just of feeling. I think that's how it looks. A couple of things came out today that the more I twirl them around in my mind, as far as, what the information means, the more I'm coming to the conclusion she and her campaign are getting very, very scared. And with that, we go to the pages of Politico.com for the following headline. Harris backs ending filibuster for abortion rights legislation. Quote, I think we should eliminate the filibuster for Roe, the vice president said. Article written by Megan Messerly. We have the following. Kamala Harris is calling for changes to Senate procedure to pass federal legislation protecting abortion rights. Harris voiced support for ending the 60-vote threshold needed to advance most legislation in the Senate, commonly known as the filibuster, during an interview with Wisconsin Public Radio that aired on Tuesday. Quote, I think we should eliminate the filibuster for Roe and get us to the point where 51 votes would be what we need to actually put back in law the protections for reproductive freedom and for the ability of every person and every woman to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do. Harris has for months promised that she would sign legislation codifying Roe v. Wade's protections in federal law, but had yet as a presidential nominee to specifically weigh in on whether she supports an exception to the filibuster to do so. President Joe Biden has long said he supports such an exception, and in 2022, Harris promised as vice president to cast a tie-breaking vote to end the filibuster for reproductive rights and voting rights. During her 2020 presidential campaign, Harris also came out in support of an exception to the filibuster to pass a broad climate proposal called the New Green Deal, or the Green New Deal, excuse me. The vice president has made reproductive rights a centerpiece of her presidential campaign, blaming Donald Trump and his appointment of 3 conservative Supreme Court justices for the 2022 High Court ruling that ended Roe, which protected the right to abortion until fetal viability around 22 to 24 weeks of pregnancy. Abortion has proved a salient issue on the campaign trail since, and Democrats are hoping that it will carry them to victory this year. Trump has attempted to deflect criticism on abortion by saying the issue is now in the hands of the states. The odds of actually restoring abortion protections of Roe held in place are long, as Democrats face an uphill battle to keep the Senate in November. But if they manage to hold on to their Senate majority, Democrats appear to have the votes to pass abortion rights legislation in the chamber after Senator Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont, said last week that he would be willing to carve out an exception to the filibuster for such legislation. Okay, let's talk about this for a few minutes. Now, I will freely admit that the filibuster is one of those things I love and hate at the same time. I love it in that it prevents really bad ideas, potentially, from becoming passed. I hate it because there are moments I only want 51 votes needed to get something done. But then again, maybe that's the best argument for why you ought to have the filibuster in place. Look, as aggravating and as frustrating as legislative politics can be, as slow gear grinding as it can become, it's a good thing to slow down and actually take the time to talk about what you're thinking about passing and not just rush it through, will-nil. If you want to do that, go over to the House of Representatives. They can do that in an instant. And even though more often than not, members of the United States Senate are full of themselves like a hot air balloon, sometimes what they do is a necessary evil, and may not even be right to call it a necessary evil as much as it is a good constitutional protection. I mean, keep in mind, the filibuster and the cloture rule haven't been around all that long. I mean, strictly speaking, you're only talking about a little over 100 years. But it was done for the two express purposes. One, to protect the rights of the minority in the Senate. And number two, to actually force the senators to get together and talk and find ways to actually get things done. Does it always work out that way? Well, no, not necessarily. Sometimes the filibuster rule is used to stop legislation, and Lord knows there have been examples of that in my lifetime. But on the whole, despite all my aggravations with the filibuster rule and the cloture rule that goes with it, and cloture basically means you have to have 60 votes in order to get any legislation passed. Cloture basically means you call for a motion to cloture. If 60 senators vote for it, whatever debate is going on stops, and then from there you take a vote on final passage. So realistically speaking, you have to have 60 votes in the Senate to get anything done. As aggravating as that can be to me sometimes, I still think it's a good thing. But notice what she's doing here, okay? She's not saying, let's, get rid of the closure rule for everything. She just wants to carve out one little exception for Roe. That's it. Nothing else. Folks, people are going to ask me, well, what does this have to do with desperation? Why do you think she's afraid? What else has she got? She's not talking about economics. She's not talking about policy. She's not talking about anything else. All it is abortion, 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 abortion. Donald Trump bad, Orange Man bad, etc., and so on. And by the way, this is not going to endear her to her fellow Democrats. I give you a perfect example. Now, she may be retiring from the United States Senate this year, but she's still influential. Kyrsten Sinema, quote, to state the supremely obvious, eliminating the filibuster to codify Roe v. Wade also enables a future Congress to ban all abortion nationwide. What an absolutely terrible, short-sighted idea. And you know what? I give Kyrsten Sinema a lot of credit on this one. Okay, now don't get me wrong. There are moments in Kyrsten Sinema is just a straight-up lefty out off of the reservation that's just, whoo, man, she got some ideas that are, yeah, they bad. But on this one, she's absolutely right. And even though I don't have his quotes pulled up here, when Kamala Harris pulled this stunt today, Joe Manchin, another soon-to-be retiree of the United States Senate, Joe Manchin came out and said, I can't endorse her because of this. This is a horrible idea. And they're both right. Sinema and Manchin are both correct. Plus, here's something else to stop and think about. Let's just assume for a moment that the United States Senate carves out an exception to the filibuster on Roe. Well, okay, that means you've got enough votes to do it. All right? Guess what? That's going to get expanded to we're just going to get rid of the filibuster, period. It's not going to stop. It won't stop with Roe. She's talking about trying to do this tiny little exception to the filibuster rule. We wouldn't do it for anything else. BS. They'll get rid of the filibuster completely, and then you're going to have any of the following happen. The Supreme Court's going to go from 9 members to 13, and Harris will get to name her nominees, and the Senate will vote on them, and the spineless Republicans in the Senate, even though they might have the majority, will give Kamala Harris all of her Supreme Court picks. So the conservative majority that's barely being held together by, string and baling wire and WD-40 and duct tape, that conservative majority, gone. Statehood for D.C. and Puerto Rico. Yep. 4 brand new senators. All of them are going to be Democrat. I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree. This will come back to bite them. Yeah, you give them an inch, they're going to take your skin. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and this goes to M169's point. They didn't have the good sense to realize what they're getting ready to do. Because remember, and to take everybody back in time, because Small Time's absolutely right about this. Dirty Harry Reid, the former majority leader of the United States Senate, carved out an exception on the filibuster and said, hey, we just need a simple majority on federal judges. Mitch McConnell, I'll never forget this, to his credit, one of the very few things I ever give Mitch McConnell credit for, but Mitch McConnell, to his credit, said, you guys over there on the other side of the aisle, you're going to rue the day you did this, because if it ever comes up that we want to get rid of this rule for the Supreme Court, you just open the door to let us do it. And sure enough, Gorsuch came along. They stalled. The Democrats stalled his nomination, stalled it, and finally McConnell said, screw it. We're going to take a vote on a motion to get rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court judges, and the Democrats on the other side of the aisle screamed bloody murder, and McConnell looked at him and went, you made this happen. Just remember, you caused this. And that's how we got Gorsuch, among other things. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no limit now. And this is a really good point, too. I don't understand why. This is an issue. Look, condoms, birth control, there are any number of contraceptive measures that can be done to prevent a pregnancy. Why is this the one that the Democrats have got this is the hill they've got to die on? Which, by the way, this is an issue that even Democrats don't care about this year. You go down the list of national issues, abortion ranks 5th, maybe 6th on the list of priorities. Doesn't matter whose poll you look at. But the Democrats have absolutely got to die on this hill. I would think they'd be more worried about women being able to afford food and clothing for their current families as opposed to worrying about what babies will not be brought into this world. WWG1 says the Dems belong to a death cult. I don't disagree with you at all. I think you're absolutely right. Hey, you're absolutely right. TBA says it's their form of sacrifice. They want to sacrifice babies to their evil god. Yeah. Seabass, good evening, sir. Yeah, the worship of Moloch. Yep. Absolutely right. But this is not the only form of fear that's going on right now. Oh, by the way, before I get off this topic of the filibuster, I need to read you guys a letter. Dear Majority Leader McConnell and Democrat Leader Schumer, we are writing to urge you to support our efforts to preserve existing rules, practices, and traditions as they pertain to the rights of the members to engage in extended debate on legislation before the United States Senate. Senators have expressed a variety of opinions about the appropriateness of limiting debate when we are considering judicial and executive branch nominations. Regardless of our past disagreements on that issue, we are united in our determination to preserve the ability of members to engage in extended debate when bills are on the Senate floor. We are mindful that our unique role the Senate plays in the legislative process, and we are steadfastly committed to ensuring that this great American institution continues to serve as the world's greatest deliberative body. Therefore, we are asking you to join us in opposing any effort to curtail the existing rights and prerogatives of senators to engage in full, robust, and extended debate as we consider legislation before this body in the future. Signed by Susan Collins, Chris Coons, Orrin Hatch, Joe Manchin, Claire McCaskill, John Thune. Let's see. Who else here? Bunch of others. Oh my goodness. Could it be? Could it be? I think Kamala Harris's name was on this letter somewhere. Oh my gosh. Well, what do you know? What do you know? Huh. What do you know? So there you go. There you go, folks. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. But this whole filibuster thing is not necessarily the only thing that's causing, or at least evidence, I should say, that Harris is starting to panic. You guys hear about this today? From CNN. Harris campaign plans trip to the U.S. southern border amid polling concerns. Oh my God. Finally, she decides to go down to the southern border. Well, what do you know? Let's see what this nonsense is all about. Article by Priscilla Alvarez of CNN. We've got the following. Vice President Kamala Harris is planning to visit the U.S.-Mexico border while in Arizona on Friday, according to a source familiar with the discussions, as Harris tries to close the gap with former President Donald Trump on the issue of immigration. No. Hold on. Now, Priscilla, you're being a little misleading here, dear. It's not necessarily that she's trying to close the gap with him on immigration. She's trying to close the gap on border security. Okay? Keep in mind, those are very, those issues are really intertwined, but it's not necessarily immigration that she's going down there for. It's border security. But anyway, with that, back to the article. Details of the visit, which CNN first reported Monday that campaign officials were weighing, are still being sorted. Harris previously visited the border in her capacity as vice president and has cited her work as a U.S. senator and state attorney general representing a border state, California. Immigration is featured prominently in the 2024 presidential election. Democrats, grappling with years of border crises, have tried to flip the script on Republicans after the GOP blocked a bipartisan border measure this year. Some Harris campaign officials remain concerned about the gap in polling, which shows Trump holding a lead on the issue, but also see an opportunity to narrow a gap they believe is closing and try to shut down GOP attacks over her not visiting the border enough, according to one of the sources. CNN reached out to the Harris campaign for comment. All right, let's see what else have we got here about this whole thing. Friday's visit to Arizona also comes at a time when border crossings are at the lowest they've been since 2020 and comes on the heels of new polling showing Trump leading in the battleground state. U.S. officials have touted back-to-back months of low border crossings, citing recent executive action curbing asylum access at the southern border, even as Trump levies attacks over the Biden administration's handling of border security. Discord? Ugh, you are making me nuts. Shut up. Sorry, just getting a little crazy. I thought I had this thing straightened out. Republicans have falsely claimed that Harris is the border czar. It's not a false claim. That's what Joe Biden named her, casting her as solely responsible for the management of the U.S.-Mexico border. It's a title that Harris's team has been trying to shake off since the moment President Joe Biden assigned her to tackle the root causes of migration in 2021. Harris campaign officials think she has a case on immigration, using the failed bipartisan border measure to cast Trump as unserious on the border and citing her time as California Attorney General when she tackled transnational criminal gangs. So Kamala's going to make a run down to the border, not Taco Bell, on Friday of this week. TBA says, too little, too late. Absolutely, I totally agree with that statement. It's too late. If she had been doing this consistently from 2021, when she was put in charge of the root causes of migration to the southern border, if she had been going to visit the southern border consistently, then okay, you could see this and say, well, all right, this is an issue she's always been involved in. This is an issue that she's always been a part of. It's been strong on her plate ever since she's become vice president, yada, yada, yada. This, ladies and gentlemen, is going to backfire. I don't care what anybody says, this is going to backfire. It's not going to work. I'm not going to say this is going to be quite as bad as Michael Dukakis in the tank in 1988. You know, those pictures, those legendary pictures. If you, well, I know we got some young folks here in the audience. Hang on a minute. I got to pull one of these up. Now, Dukakis in the tank. Now, for those of you a little young and you don't know what I'm talking about, Michael Dukakis was being blasted by George Herbert Walker Bush as being weak on national defense. And there is a picture, and give me 1 second here, and I will pull it up for everybody, because this is just a piece of work. This picture says it all. And if you've never seen this, it will, especially for those of you who are younger, who are watching this live stream, this picture is redounds through presidential political history as one of the worst photo ops ever. And let me enlarge this just a little bit, make it easier for you to look at and see. Yeah, a Democrat being called weak on national defense. And then this is how he's pictured. This is how he's pictured in a tank. You begin to see the problem. I'm not saying that Kamala Harris is headed for a Dukakis in the tank moment, but this image of her down on the southern border, she is seriously, the Trump people are going to, his campaign team are going to absolutely roast her for this. And frankly, legitimately so. They should. Oh yeah, Seabass, you're absolutely right. That and Willie Horton was the end of Dukakis. But when that picture rolled out, oh God, Bush and his campaign team, they were having a field day with it. Absolute field day with it, as well they should, frankly. But Kamala Harris is going to the southern border. Now, people are going to look at this and say, all right, Front Porch, you're saying that she's going to the southern border. She's doing all this. You know, why is all this a sign of fear? Very simple, folks. Very simple indeed. And it gets down to this. She's playing defense. She's dancing to Trump's tune. And matter of fact, you know this visit down on the southern border is bad when CNN is calling you out on it. Folks, I got a clip here. I want you guys to listen to this. Check this out. This is from today on CNN.
The vice president has a long history, a well-documented history of really being an ally to these immigrant communities. She has 2 chapters in her book, I Say We Fight and We Are Better Than This, where she really makes a robust case for undocumented immigrants. During the Trump administration, she talked about a climate of fear. She dismissed the border wall as ineffective and a waste of resources. And even her guest at the joint session of Congress was a DACA recipient, was a dreamer. And so for her to go down there and characterize herself as tough on the border, to me, it isn't consistent with a lot of the policy positions that she previously has espoused.
Oh, folks, when CNN is calling you out like this, you know you have stepped in it. Yeah. Brilliant play on words, and you are absolutely right. Walls don't work, or at least that's what Kamala would have you believe anyway. And frankly, as bad as a vice presidential candidate he is, he may not work either. I tell you what, I was talking with my buddy Smiling Jack the other night on the phone. I told him, I tell you what, Normally, I don't get excited for a vice presidential debate, but I am dying to watch Tim Walz go up against J.D. Vance. I think that's going to be a fun debate. Now, I'm not saying Tim Walz won't do well, but I'm very curious to see how he does against Vance. I tell you what would have been even better. If Joe Biden had stayed in the race, the real thing that I would have bought tickets for would have been Kamala Harris against J.D. Vance. That would have been incredible. But yeah, you got CNN calling out Kamala over this stuff. I mean, it's phony baloney. It's plastic. And frankly, it's just not helping her at all with this. I've got a clip here from MSNBC, and you'll begin to understand why I don't think that this is going to play to Kamala's advantage. Okay? Again, this is from MSNBC. Check this out.
So many people, and there's just not enough resources. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough homes.
She's glad Trump, who she supports, has been calling attention to Charleroi and Springfield.
People need to know that it's just not Springfield. This is coming to a town near you.
What is coming to a town near you?
Haitians or immigrants that have poured over the border within the last couple of years.
Why is that a bad thing, given the fact that some would say the United States is a nation of immigrants?
They're not coming here to assimilate with us. They're coming here to take over.
That last 6 seconds of that interview ought to be played everywhere. I mean, look, I'm not trying to tell Trump and his campaign what to do. Well, yes, I am trying to tell Trump and his campaign what to do. But that last 6 seconds of that interview, that line sums it up beautifully. The reporter says, well, what's so bad about immigrants coming here? Some people would say we're a nation of immigrants. And the lady says, no, the Haitians aren't coming here to assimilate to American culture. They're coming here to take over. Now you begin to understand why I don't think this visit of Kamala's down to the southern border in Arizona on Friday is going to help, because it's going to remind everybody of what they already know, or more to the point, what they're thinking. 10 to 15 million border crossings in the past 4 years. Kamala, whatever you want to say about her, Kamala, as part of the administration, was a part of that. Okay? Was an absolute part of that. And did nothing, little to nothing. And now, only because it's an election, is she going to the southern border. Trump's been down there more times than people can count. When he was president, and even when he wasn't president, he was still visiting the southern border, trying to bring attention to this issue. I'm telling you, this is going to backfire on her badly. And it just reeks of fear. I'm sorry. People can say whatever they want. They can say I'm wrong about this. I just don't see how this is going to help her. And frankly, I mean, I'll very quickly throw these up here right now. Just for what it's worth, she has got enormous problems. Quinnipiac, which is one of the worst pollsters in America, usually it leans heavy Democrat, just dropped a poll today. They're tied, according to Quinnipiac's own polling. CNN only has Harris up by 1. Now, yeah, you got a Morning Consult and you got a Reuters Ipsos here, but Morning Consult is terrible. So's Ipsos. I mean, all 4 of these pollsters are bad. Folks, she's got problems. The sugar high is wearing off. It's absolutely wearing off. Here in Alabama, the FBI is hiring case translators in 18 counties. Wow. Oh, I'm not surprised by this at all. Not surprised at all. And it's sad. This is a great question. This is an absolutely great question. If Kamala Harris wants all these people pouring across the southern border, then how come she's not opening up her home? Or Joe Biden, he's got vacation houses. How come he's not letting them have it? You know, I'm telling you, she's got big time problems. Big time. Oh, by the way, remember what I said that Quinnipiac can't poll, CNN can't poll, Ipsos, and who was that fourth one? Morning Consult? Yeah. Let me show you guys something. This is from 538. Average pollster error in the 2020 race. I'm going to drop this in on both sides, and maybe this will help everybody keep their sanity. The four pollsters that I just mentioned, of the four of them, you know how badly Quinnipiac missed in 2020? How badly they were off? Their average pollster error? Folks, Quinnipiac was off by almost 9%. CNN was off by 7. Ipsos was off by 5. And Morning Consult was off by 5. Now, am I necessarily saying they're going to miss that or even miss it all in 2024? No idea. But if past is prologue, and assuming that these four reporting polling agencies haven't done anything to correct the problems, then folks, we're headed for one ginormous miss come election day. WWG1 says that big of an error rate is not possible. This is intentional. Bingo. Hang on to that link, folks. And I'm serious about this. I would really recommend it. Hang on to that link. Because whenever you see one of these polls come out, just take what they're saying with a grain of salt. Take a look at the poll they just dropped, then go back and compare it against this chart. Again, and let me be very clear here. I'm not saying that they're going to miss by the same amount as was recorded by 538 in this chart. I'm not saying they're going to miss that by that much. For all I know, maybe they're accurate and dead on. But unless they've done something to correct the problems that they've got so that they can poll more accurately, I'm telling you right now, they're going to miss on election day. I mean, Ipsos drops a poll that says that, Kamala Harris is up by 6 points. Well, if their average error rate was a little over 5%, WWG1, you got a good point. I said take it with a grain of salt, and WWG1 says, you have to take it with a grain of salt as big as Lot's wife after she looked back on Sodom and Gomorrah burning down. Very true, my friend. Very true indeed. So hang on to that chart, folks. Just hang on to it. And if you don't believe what the pollsters are telling you, I need to show you something else. This is from CBS this morning. One of their reporters took a drive through Wisconsin. You might get a kick out of this. Take a listen.
But when we drove through those cornfields, just about every line had a Trump sign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Flags everywhere, billboards everywhere, Trump campaign offices almost on every other block.
Again, I don't know what's going to happen in November, but there's a lot of reason to keep your head up right now. Now, there's going to be days that are going to be dark in this whole thing, all between here and November. I get it. I'm just saying, keep your chin up. Keep your chin up. There's a lot to be positive about. One last thing, and we'll get off this subject. Gallup, once considered to be the gold standard of campaign polling. has come out with a prediction about what the electorate is going to be in November. They're saying Republican, well, and they do it on the basis of party identification, okay? Right now, according to Gallup, 48% of Americans identify as Republican, compared to 45% for Democrats. Well, that sounds about right. If honestly, that sounds about right. Now, what does that mean for November if there is a R+3 swing? Well, let me give you something to think about, as was put together by somebody far smarter than I am. In 2008, the Democrats held a +8 advantage in self-identification. Obama won by 7.2%. In 2012, the Democrats held a +4 voter identification advantage. Obama won by almost 4 points. 2016 was the anomaly. Democrats had a +3 advantage in voter identification. Clinton won the popular vote by 2.1%. Trump won the Electoral College. In 2020, Democrats held a +5 voter identification advantage, and Biden won the national popular vote by 4.5%. Gallup says going into 2024 that the Republicans hold a +3 voter identification advantage over Democrats. What does that mean for the popular vote? Well, I'll give you this to think about. If party identification is indicative of what the national popular vote might wind up being, then folks, we got some reasons to be optimistic. And again, I'm not saying it's a done deal. I'm just saying don't let all the doom and gloom get to you. I'm just saying keep your chin up. Keep your chin up. All right. It's the bottom of the hour. Let me do a real quick commercial and we'll shift gears here a little bit and talk about some other stuff that's going on. And pretty important stuff, by the way. So with that, my name is Brian Tripp, and I'm the Front Porch Conservative. You have found your way to one of the coolest, most informative, and fun live streams on the whole of social media, and that is Chattin on the Porch. We get together Monday nights, 7:30 Eastern, Monday through Thursday, to talk about the news, give our views, and try and help each other get through this crazy thing we call life. If this is the sort of thing you enjoy, then please do me some favors. Number one, subscribe to my channel on Rumble and YouTube. Also, give me a thumbs up. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave a comment in chat. Share the link around. All that fun stuff to help grow this thing and make it happen. All right. We've got some Trump assassination information updates. And as we were coming on the internet tonight, breaking from the Associated Press, U.S. to seek attempted assassination charge against man accused of staking out Trump at golf course. Got an article here written by Eric Tucker, Alana Durkin-Richer, and Stephanie Matat. We've got the following. The man accused in the assassination attempt of Donald Trump at a golf course in Florida left behind a note detailing his plans to kill the former president and kept in his car a handwritten list of dates and venues where Trump was to appear, the Justice Department said Monday. Trump complained that the current holdings charge against the man were too light, but prosecutors indicated much more serious attempted assassination charges were coming. The allegations about the note were included in a detention memo filed ahead of hearing on Monday, at which federal prosecutors argued that Ryan Wesley Routh should remain locked up as a flight risk and a threat to public safety. U.S. Magistrate Ryan McCabe agreed, saying that the weight of the evidence against the defendant is strong, ordered him to stay behind bars. So looks like the feds are going to try and charge him with attempted assassination, to which my response is, good. I got no problem with that whatsoever. And like I said, as we came on tonight, Benny Johnson, Charlie Kirk, a bunch of others, that is exactly what he's being charged with. So good on them. Good on them. All right. A few other things to note came out earlier today. Dan Bongino dropped an update And this one, look, I trust Bongino in this kind of stuff. Bongino, and I believe him when he says this. He's never going to tell you something just for the sake of being sensational or the sake of, trying to, clickbait or whatever. But he's got some comments here that I think need to be heard. And with that, we will listen to Mr. Bongino's commentary.
I promise you, you have not even heard a tenth of the details in this, what's going to be an enormous scandal. There is something going on behind the scenes right now that connects these foreign entities that have business with the United States, either good or bad, and an operation to kill Donald Trump. And the key question right now is how many of these cells are real and active, and how much interaction has happened between the Biden-Harris administration and their campaigns and these Iranians who were trying to feed them information. How much of that has yet to be disclosed? People like Ken Delanian, who are supposed to be deep state specialists, you'd think they'd be interested in this stuff. Folks, they are hiding something big here. If these two would-be assassins are connected to a foreign government and people in our government knew about it, not only knew about it, but if people in our government facilitated this, and that comes out, it's going to be, again, the biggest scandal of our time. Get ready for more on this, folks. This thing is ugly. And I told you yesterday, their communication systems in the Secret Service have likely been compromised. This story is going to get worse.
Okay. So where it goes from here, no idea. No idea at all. And yeah, I agree with you, Midmo. When it comes to stuff like this, he is a very good mind to listen to. WWG1 says, there are Republicans, there are Democrats, and there are the people who hate both parties. They are Trumpians. Buddy, I will proudly call myself a Trumpian. Ruben asked the question, is this some kind of no idea, dude. Couldn't tell you. I have no idea. No idea at all. People keep asking me, what do you think the October surprise is going to be? I don't know. I just don't know. But then again, I guess here's my question. After everything that's happened just in 2024 leading up to this election, is there anything left that could shock the American people into changing their vote? And I'm serious. I'm seriously asking that question. Is there anything left that could shock the American people into changing their vote? I've got a very funny feeling that everybody's and I could be wrong about this. I got a feeling that, there's one that could do it. If any more details come out about that, and it's as bad as we all think it is, that could do it. WWG1 says World War III would do the trick. Okay, I'll give you that one. But laying aside those two, is there anything else that could really shake everybody loose? Because I could be dead wrong with what I'm about to say next, but I got a feeling everybody's locked in. It's just a matter of getting everybody out to vote. Which, by the way, keep an eye on Virginia. And I know I keep saying that. Just keep an eye on Virginia. I'm not predicting anything yet. Just keep an eye on Virginia. Man, there's some data coming out of the early voting. Some of these counties right now are just totally off the chart. And not necessarily in the places that you would think of either. There's Northern Virginia, but we're talking about smaller counties in the Shenandoah Valley and out west. man, they are like off the charts crazy, increasing their early vote total. And that sort of begs the question, are these regular voters or these people that don't vote that often? Don't know. Don't know yet. By the way, speaking of the Ryan Routh, did you hear about his son? Oh, check this out. From NBC News. Son of Trump assassin plot suspect charged with possession of child sex abuse images. Orrin Routh was arrested Tuesday, records show. His father, Ryan Routh, is the suspect in the attempted assassination of Donald Trump earlier this month. Article by Doha Madani, Tom Winter, and Michael Koznar. We've got the following. The son of the man accused of plotting to assassinate former President Donald Trump at his golf course has been arrested in connection with a child sex abuse images case. Orrin Alexander Routh was charged in federal court Monday with one count of receipt of child pornography and one count of possession of child pornography. Court records from the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of North Carolina show that he was arrested Tuesday and there was no attorney listed for him. Public records show that Orrin Routh is the son of Ryan Wesley. Ryan Wesley Routh, the man authorities believe planned to kill Trump at the former president golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida on September 15th. Ryan Routh is in custody over 2 gun-related charges in connection with the alleged assassination plot. So, yeah, there you go. There you go. Just, is this one of those situations where the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree? Just asking. Anyway, speaking of assassinations, one last thing related to all this, and this news just broke, I guess, was it today or was it yesterday? No, it was yesterday, late yesterday. You know how Trump's been saying he's going back to Butler, Pennsylvania? Well, folks, it's official. Trump to rally next month in Pennsylvania City, where his first assassination attempt occurred. The former president was shot in the ear during an assassination attempt at a campaign rally in Butler on July 13th. Garrett Hawk, Olympia Saunier, and Zoe Richards. Former President Donald Trump plans to return to Butler, Pennsylvania, where he faced an assassination attempt in July for a rally next month, according to 3 sources familiar with the campaign schedule. The event is scheduled for October 5th, 1 month before Election Day, said the sources, who requested anonymity to share information about a rally that has not been publicly announced. Trump has long teased a return to the town where he was shot in the ear during an assassination attempt on July 13th. Weeks after the attempt on his life, Trump wrote in all caps on Truth Social that he would be back for a big, beautiful rally honoring Corey Comparatore, the former fire chief who died in the shooting, and 2 other people who were injured when a gunman opened fire from an elevated post not far from the site. It is not immediately clear whether the October 5th rally will take place at the same venue in Butler. A campaign spokesperson did not immediately respond to a request for comment. I was watching InfoWars today, and it was being guest hosted by Owen Schroyer. Alex was traveling back from Pennsylvania, and Owen Schroyer got off one of the best lines about Trump I think I've ever heard. When he said, the size of the brass balls on this guy, talking about Trump, the size of the brass balls on this guy can be seen from outer space. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that, because what Trump is doing, some people might argue he's tempting fate. I'm just going to say this. He doesn't have to go back to Butler, Pennsylvania to prove his bravery, but I'm not going to lie, it's pretty gutsy. I mean, yeah, I don't know what kind of venue they're going to do the event in. I have no idea. But it's pretty gutsy. And they're doing it 1 month to the day of the election. I think that's smart. Which, by the way, I had this pulled up earlier. But going back, talking about the fear on Kamala, there are reports coming out of the Trump campaign that in the last 30 days of this race, he's not just going to go to places like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, the normal battlegrounds you think of. According to reports from inside his campaign, they're looking at events in New Hampshire, Virginia, Maine, New Mexico, Colorado, places where Republicans normally don't go. Now, if they wind up doing this, okay, and by the way, you can do it and be smart about it, okay? You can be smart. If he does this, to me, that's a sign he's expanding the map and he's on offense. I like it. If that's what he's actually doing in the last 30 days, then he's trying to run up the score. And I love the idea. I think it's great. So, going back to the report about the son of the attempted would-be assassin, Gypsy rightly points out, and a 3-letter agency would never plant that stuff on his computer. Good point, dear. Good point. Fair point indeed. Yeah, so there's a lot going on right now. A whole lot going on right now. Let's see, what else have we got, my friends? Oh, we're getting close to the Nightcap section of the show. And definitely there's a couple things I want to talk about. Remember back during the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, when Kamala Harris got off that line about there are no troops anywhere around the world right now, or something to that, more or less to that effect. Matter of fact, hang on a minute. I can probably find this real fast. Give me 1 second here. It was one of those lines when she said it, I just couldn't believe it. And I can probably find this really fast. Oh, yeah.
The United States military.
Here it is. Yeah, we played a snippet of this. You guys remember this during the debate? Watch this.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. The first time this century.
And let me back that up and let you guys hear that one more time. Just remember what she said. Listen carefully.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. The first time this century.
Okay, let me phrase that one more time. There is not one member of the United States military, who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. Okay. All right. Well, then Kamala's got a problem because she's going to have to explain the following to a lot of people. From the post-millennial, Biden-Harris administration to deploy more U.S. troops to the Middle East. Quote, in light of increased tensions in the Middle East and out of an abundance of caution, we are sending a small number of additional U.S. military personnel forward to augment forces already in the region. Biden-Harris by David Creighton from the Post-Millennial. The Biden-Harris administration said Monday is sending more troops to the Middle East as war in the region intensifies, with strikes and counterstrikes between Israel and the terrorist organization Hezbollah, USA Today reported. The Pentagon was not specific about the number of troops, indicating only that it was a small number to bolster the force of arms already on the scene in the theater of war. Israel struck Hezbollah positions in Lebanon, killing 274 people and injuring over 1,000 in response to Hezbollah's rocket attacks on Sunday, USA Today noted. Quote, in light of increased tensions in the Middle East and out of an abundance of caution, we are sending a small number of additional U.S. military personnel forward to augment forces already in the region, said Air Force Major General Pat Ryder, the Pentagon press secretary. For operation security reasons, we won't comment on or provide more specific details. Yeah. Let's see now. How was it she said it again? Oh, yeah. There is not one member of the United States military who is on active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world for the first time this century. Right. Oh, goodness. What is this? Ooh. That's not good. These two idiots are going to frickin' get us into... These two idiots are going to get us into World War III. I swear they are. Yeah, Gypsy, I just saw what you sent. The state of global fertility. And the U.S. is, oh boy, we got problems. I'll put this up at the end. Going back to our original story. Yeah, Midmo, you may be right, my friend. You may be right. Yeah, and I really wish the ABC moderators would have challenged her on this, because it is such a crock. Such a crock. Okay. A couple more things, and then we'll bring this train into the station. Remember how everybody said that Donald Trump was responsible for January 6th? It was all his fault. You know, that if Trump would have done something, we could have prevented what happened. Oh, yeah, well, we come to find out he did try to do something. From justthenews.com, bombshell transcripts. Trump urged use of troops to protect the Capitol on January 6th, but was rebuffed. Article by John Solomon. Then President Donald Trump gave clear instructions to Pentagon brass days before the January 6th riots to, quote, do whatever it takes to keep the U.S. Capitol safe, including deploying National Guard or active duty troops. But top officials did not comply because of political concerns, according to transcripts of bombshell interviews conducted by the Department of Defense chief watchdog that shine new light on government dysfunction ahead of the historic tragedy. General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, confirmed to the Pentagon Inspector General 3 years ago that during the January 3rd, 2021 Oval Office meeting, Trump pre-approved the use of National Guard or active duty troops to keep peace in the nation's capital on the day Congress was to certify the results of the 2020 election. Milley's interviews were among several key to transcripts obtained by House Administration Oversight Subcommittee Chairman Barry Loudermilk, Republican, Georgia, and shared with Just the News. Quote, the president just says, hey, look at this. It's going to be a large amount of protesters come in here on the 6th, and make sure that you have sufficient National Guard soldiers to make sure it's a safe event. Milley told the Inspector General in one of two interviews he did in spring of 2021 during the probe of the Pentagon's response to January 6th. Milley said then acting Secretary of Defense Christopher Miller, himself a former general, assured Trump there was an adequate safety plan for the Pentagon assistance to Washington, D.C. Miller responds by saying, hey, we've got a plan and we've got it covered, and that's about it, Milley recalled. Well, there you go, folks. It's all Trump's fault, don't you know? Except for when the military more or less is like, yeah, we don't need to listen to the old man on this one. We got this thing. Oh, boy. Anyway, tell you what, let's bring this train into the station. You guys have got a life, and I've got a life, and we'll get on living it for the rest of the evening. I want to thank you guys, as always, for stopping by the Electronic Front Porch. Thank you, as always, for helping keep my spirits up. I hopefully am helping you do the same thing. Thanks for all the news that you share with me. Oh, wait a minute. I said I would share what Gypsy had forwarded over to me. And this goes back to the very first story about Kamala Harris wanting to use the filibuster to get Roe v. Wade in place. Yeah, the state of global fertility. And we said, why is it that the Democrats seem to be just obsessed with abortion? Well, maybe if we paid a little more attention to this, are we really sure we want to be aborting all these kids? Global fertility rates, 1 to 2 kids. Fertility rate by country in 2021, births per woman. U.S. has almost one of the lowest fertility rates of any nation on this planet. Just saying, folks. Anyway, we're going to be back tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. You guys have been a load of fun as always. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe on both Rumble and on YouTube. Subscriptions are going up. I'll be a little slowly, but that's all right. We're going to build a nice, steady little audience here. Remember to share the link around. Let your friends see it. Let's see if we can get them interested as well. Hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment in chat as you're on your way out. We will be back tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. Okay? So with that in mind, I want you guys to have a great night. Get some sleep. We'll be back here doing it all over again tomorrow evening. And as always, remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." And with that, folks, we love you guys. You have a great night.